Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to No Final Bell. We're going to talk a little NJPW. I know we usually don't talk
Yeah,
about it much on this show, but we're also going to be talking about AEW Dynamite and Collision. Before we get into those AEW, we're going to send it over to Marty for NJPW Strong. Um,
yeah. So the countdown had two matches, which I will get into. They're not really like, at least the one, I didn't really get to see the whole match. I just kind of caught the finish of it, which was Matt Vandegrift taking on Barrett Brown and beating him. And then the second pre-show match was Fred Rosser versus Filthy Tom Lawler, which that's pretty much a rivalry that is broiled in just, I don't know if I would say hatred, but they definitely had a rivalry that has stemmed for a few years now because uh, Fred Rosser was the one who defeated Filthy Tom Lawler to become the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion. Fred Fred Filthy Tom Lawler was the inaugural champion, and then Fred Rosser beat him. So, and much like that match where he beat him for the strong openweight title, he beat him tonight, or well, that night on the pre-show to LoneStar Shootout. Then we start the show with some lucha action. CMLL as Tiger Mask, Atlantis, and Mascara Dorada took on Rocky Romero, Ultimo Guerrero, and Hechicero. And by the way, before anybody asks, no, it is not Metalik. So this Mascara Dorada is a different one that's like kind of exclusive to CMLL. So yeah, because I know for a little while there, Metalik was going by that name of Mascara Dorada in Impact Wrestling, and I think even a few AEW and ROH shows before going back to the name of Metalik. So, but yeah, clear that up. Different Mascara Dorada. Um, but either way, his team beat Rocky Romero's team. Um, Next up, we had a very interesting match. Toru Yano took on Joey Janela, the bad boy, and it was an interesting match because it initially started out as like just a regular singles match, but then Joey Janela started like talking down Yano, and he's like, "If you were a real man, you would make this a no disqualification, or whatever." And so Toru Yano was like, "Okay, go ahead, make this no disqualifications." And so we got all the Toru Yano gimmicks, which, funny enough, too, this is the first Toru Yano match I've ever watched, and it was quite entertaining. So there was that. And also Toriano beat Joey Janela. Then we have four an 8-man tag between the Bullet Club War Dogs of Alex Coughlin, Chase Owens, Clark Connors, and Gabe Kidd taking on the Gorillas of Destiny, that being the original Gorillas of Destiny, not the new Gorillas of Destiny, and I will get into that, but the Tamatonga Tongaloa and the Intergalactic Jet Setters of Kushida and Kevin Knight. And as always, Bullet Club runs things in New Japan, so the War Dogs beat the Gorillas of Destiny and the Intergalactic Jet Setters. Um, Next, we had more Gorillas of Destiny, that being El Phantasmo and Hikuleo, taking on the West Coast Wrecking Crew of Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs for the New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team titles. And Gorillas of Destiny retained. We had an interesting matchup as Mystico took on TJP. I found it interesting because it's like, has TJP really ever been in CMLL? Um, I mean, I don't think he was, but either way, it was a cool moment for TJP to be able to take on somebody the likes of Mystico. But regardless, Mystico beat TJP. The next match was very interesting as Eddie Kingston was defending his New Japan Strong Openweight title against Satoshi Kojima, the leader of the Bread Club. So this was a very slap heavy match, as was kind of to be expected. Um, so, but through everything, Eddie Kingston was able to beat Kojima to retain his title, but then after the match gets beaten down by Gabe Kidd. So, safe to say that Gabe Kidd is targeting the New Japan Strong Openweight title, and he wants Eddie Kingston. Will the match happen? Maybe. Um, Next up, we had a tag team match between Blackpool Combat Club's John Moxley and Wheeler Yuta taking on Bullet Club's David Finlay and Kenta. And we all have our reasons to hate Finlay, especially taking away Moxley versus Ospreay one-on-one at Wrestle Kingdom. But regardless, John Moxley getting his revenge on Finlay, getting the win with Wheeler against Finlay and Kenta. Now, this next match, I tell you what, probably the best sub 15-minute match I've ever seen. And quite possibly Zack Sabre Jr.'s best defense of the New Japan World Television title against Speedball Mike Bailey. It literally went, I would say, probably like 14 minutes and like 59.9 seconds. It literally came down to the wire. Literally the very last second of the match. So, Zack Sabre Jr. had Speedball in a submission, and it was literally within, like I said, within like the last 5 seconds, and it literally came down to that final moment, and Speedball tapped out. Zack Sabre Jr. still your New Japan World Television champion, even though I still think that belt looks like an ugly pile of garbage. Zack Sabre Jr., your inaugural and still longest reigning, as of this moment, New Japan World Television Champion. We had I guess you could say, rare championship defense in the United States of the IWGP Women's Championship as Mayu Iwatani took on Stephanie Vaquer. And it was a very, very back and forth physical match for the IWGP Women's Championship. Mayu Iwatani proving why she is an icon in Stardom, proving why she deserves that IWGP Women's Championship, proving why she is a legend in Japanese Joshi wrestling. Mayu Iwatani beats Stephanie Vaquer to retain. And then the main event, which I was kind of surprised that this was the main event and not the Strong Openweight title, but regardless, I guess I can see why. I mean, Shingo is, and it's not a knock against Eddie Kingston, but Shingo is a much bigger star than Eddie Kingston, and even then, this is like New Japan, so. But regardless, Shingo Takagi took on Trent Beretta for the Never Openweight Championship, and man, it was nice to see Trent back technically in New Japan, albeit New Japan Strong, but it was nice to see Trent back. And then we had that very, very physical back and forth contest between him and Shingo. But regardless, Shingo gets the win, retains his never openweight title. But after the match, Tama Tonga comes out, challenges Shingo Takagi for a rematch at Wrestle Kingdom, and it has been made official. At Wrestle Kingdom, it will be Shingo Takagi versus Tama Tonga for the Never Openweight Championship. And that is it for LoneStar Shootout. Now, let's get into some AEW. That was a bit longer than it probably needed to be, but listen, man, I love me some New Japan, and it was nice to be able to watch that pay-per-view on Fight TV.
Right. So yeah, we get on to the start of Dynamite, Dynamite,
Yeah.
and it's MJF and Daniel Garcia facing off against each other for the AEW World Championship.
I was kind of surprised that it started Dynamite.
Like
that's kind of like one of my pet peeves in wrestling sometimes is when a World Championship match doesn't main event.
I mean, I get it, but again, I mean, Daniel Garcia isn't really considered a main event kind of.
I mean, I'm not saying
guy.
he has to be, but at the same time, it's like.
And I think
that
this Mark Briscoe and Jay White was like the bigger picture, the bigger match. Because that had implications of who was going to face off against MJF at Full Gear. Which,
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, it's like MJF is the true world champion, so like he should really be. If you were gonna do anything, I would have had Jay White versus Mark Briscoe as the co-main event, where with MJF versus Danny Garcia being the actual main event.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. But in a way, MJF faces off against Daniel Garcia, and honestly, even before the match, MJF is like, is he going to get the sports entertainer or is he going to get the pro wrestler? Where Daniel Garcia says that you're going to get the pro wrestler side of Daniel Garcia.
But he's a wrestler anyway.
Not without, dancing in the ring. Not without
his sports entertainment shtick.
Honestly, this match kind of turned me off a little bit just because they were doing too much of the...
It was way too sports entertainment.
Yeah, it was in this match. And then, Daniel Garcia isn't a bad wrestler. He's really not.
No, he's a great pro wrestler.
Yeah, I just think that when he first entered... I was going to say, when he first entered AEW, I feel like he was more of a pro wrestler. Now he's kind of like really embracing more of the sports entertainment side. So I would like to see kind of more of the older Daniel Garcia than a newer Daniel Garcia. But not saying that this match wasn't terrible. This MJF, you kind of figured that maybe he was going to retain and what's up.
The sad part about it is like, it's just sad to me that Daniel Garcia needed a dance to get himself over.
Yeah.
It's like, what happened to him just being a pure wrestler? And I'm not even just saying that for the pun of him being Ring of Honor pure champion like twice, but in general, like, what happened to him,
Yeah, it almost makes no sense to me either, but honestly, it is what it is, and MJF, it did look good, and I don't think there was any way that he wasn't gonna not win this match, and does beat Daniel Garcia to retain the AEW World Championship. And while Daniel Garcia was going to shake MJF's hand, and then Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Ange get in the way and go out of the ring. It just seems like that they're
controlling Daniel Garcia's like career path. It's almost as if Daniel Garcia wants to make his own choices, but basically 2.0 are the ones that are telling them, like, no, you follow our advice, you'll get far in this business, kid.
Yeah, they're pretty much the veterans that are guiding Daniel Garcia on his way, but I think Daniel Garcia is good enough to be on his own and whatnot. But I mean, who knows? It does seem weird, but yeah, MJF will be the world champion heading into Full Gear this Saturday, which we will be talking about next week. So make sure to be on that. Sting and Darby Allin are next and are facing off against the Outrunners and beat them. I mean, there wasn't really. I mean, of course, they're not going to lose to the Outrunners, but they're looking good heading into the trios matches that they're going to have at Full Gear. We'll talk more about that going forward. But there is one match that was made official. Hikaru Shida and Tony Storm will face off against each other at Full Gear. Who do we think? Who do we have winning this match? I think it's Tony Storm. I think that with her new gimmick and everything like that, is really turning it around. And I think that she might be a one that could beat Hikaru Shida and become a 3-time Women's World Champion.
Well, the thing with the only problem that I have with that is, like, why are we doing this with the Women's World title? Like, why are we just kind of having it be a hot potato, if that's the case? Like, I mean, granted, I will agree with you. I think Tony Storm, like, would be a fitting champion right now, currently, because she's, like, red hot with this timeless gimmick. But it's too soon for Shida to lose it again.
Well, yeah, and it might be too soon, but again, unfortunately, until you get a Dr. Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, and a lot of the other ones that are hurt back, it's going to be, this division is very dull, and it has been dull for a while. But getting them back, I mean, even seeing Red Velvet back is actually kind of nice, even though she's going to be part of that Continental tournament.
Is she?
No, actually, no. She's part of that TBS Championship Eliminator match. To be able to face off against Chris Statlander.
I was about to say, is there a women's?
No, it's just a men's one for World's End, and it's going to be interesting. Brian Danielson is going to be part of it, even though he's only going to be able to see out of one eye, which I don't know if I like that idea. The thing about
we'll get more into it.
Yeah, but I definitely see it Tony Storm. It wouldn't shock me if it's a Hikaru Shida, but I think Tony Storm makes the most sense just because of the success that her gimmick has been having.
Yeah.
So, we get on to our next match. Schwartz Strickland faces off against Penta El Zero Miedo. Honestly, not too bad of a match. I mean, Penta, Schwartz Strickland was trying to say that he was going to see what is underneath Penta, behind the man and behind the mask, and tear it off and show the world just who Penta El Zero Miedo is. But unfortunately, we didn't get any of him ripping at the mask and tearing off and taking off and showing the world and everything like that. But Schwartz Strickland has been red hot. He's been red hot and does get the victory against Penta El Zero Miedo. But afterwards, Hangman Page comes out with a chair and attacks Swerve on the ramp. Even attacks security. And it has the dead eye on the table. Has just gotten personal heading into Full Gear, which we were going to talk about it from Collision, but I think we'll talk about it now. It's been made official. These two men are going to have a Texas
death match.
Yeah, Texas death match
which
at
is
Full
basically
Gear,
a last man standing.
which I think is going to get brutal. They're going to beat the living crap out of each other. There's going to be weapons involved. There's going to be blood involved. These two men are going to go at each other. I think it's the right moment for Hangman and Page to get the victory here.
Yeah, because not for nothing,
because we're circling.
In a way, I hate to side with the heel in this situation, but Swerve has a point. Hangman really hasn't been himself as of late, and his career has kind of gone on a downward spiral, and much of it is not really his fault because of the whole CM Punk thing.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it's he was not a victim in that situation. So he should not have been he should not have taken so much heat,
Right.
or whatever happened after that whole thing happened. So like you know he should have been in these high caliber matches. He should have been, especially because of the fact that he's a former world champion.
Right.
Like, he should have been in more high caliber programs, matches, segments, whatever. But he just wasn't after losing the title.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, honestly, with this match,
I mean, for God's sakes, sorry to,
oh
but
god,
for God's sakes, the man was a Ring of Honor six-man tag champion with the Bucks. Like, how do we go from AEW World Champion to Ring of Honor six-man champion?
I don't know.
Like,
I,
I
I,
don't
I
get
will
that.
say this now. I think
But
that this match is gonna help propel Adam Hangman
I
Page
agree.
back into the main light. And honestly,
I mean, I'm not saying he should really be like a main eventer or like main event status again, but like
even
maybe mid card.
I was
Like,
gonna say even
he could be a solid mid carder.
even if you go after the TNT champ, well, maybe not the TNT championship, but
All Atlantic or international.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah, he could go
I'm
after the
still so
international
used to calling it
title,
the All
or
Atlantic.
maybe he can put his hands into the pot and go after MGF for the world title again. I mean, that could be something. Um, but yeah, honestly, I really do think that it's going to be a brutal match. I think he's going to get the victory and to really show Case
Yeah,
why he should be moving forward and going on and getting away from Swerve.
right. I will
Do
say
I
this.
think that this rivalry is going to be done and over with after this
Probably
match?
not,
No.
but I will say this. It would be a big slap in the face to Hangman if after this whole feud, or even after this whole match is over, that they were to send him down. Excuse me, if they were to send him down to Ring of Honor and start challenging for the television or the pure or the world Ring of Honor title. Like, that
Yeah,
would be a real
I
big
don't.
slap in the face to
I
Hangman,
don't think I
because
see
he
that
does not
happening.
deserve that. Like, he's so
Right.
much better than going down to Ring of Honor, but it's really just, I feel like Tony Khan has lost all confidence in Hangman after the whole thing. And like I said, it's not his fault. Like, he's not a victim.
Right. So yeah, we're gonna get another match got announced. It's gonna be Chris Jericho and Kenny Omega, the Golden Jets,
Yes.
taking on the Young Bucks at Full Gear.
A little friendly competition.
Yeah, and there's gonna be some implications in this match. If they beat the Young Bucks, that title shot that they are sitting on goes to the Golden Jets. But if the Young Bucks win the whole Golden Jets thing is no more, and can start doing the Elite again. Thoughts? I honestly think that the Young Bucks are going to win this match against the Golden Elite or the Golden Jets. And here's why I say it. I think Kenny Omega is going to rejoin up with the Elite and turn heel. I think he's going to turn on Chris Jericho, turn heel with the Young Bucks, and I think they're going to go after the World Trios Tag Team titles once again and be a heel trio. I really do think that's going to be the case.
I don't know if I like the idea of seeing a heel Kenny Omega again, though. That's just me.
I just think that it was his best time in AEW, as much as people hate it.
Yeah,
because
without a doubt.
Heel Kenny Omega, before MGF broke his longest reigning AEW world title reign, look what he's done as a heel AEW champion.
Yeah.
Put on some really great matches and everything like that.
I mean, granted, it's totally unrelated, but at the same time, it's like he brought a lot of eyes to Impact Wrestling when he was AEW World Champion and showing up in Impact, because a lot of people were like, oh, it's Kenny Omega. Like, he's the AEW World Champion. Like, oh, now it's time to start watching Impact.
Just
It's
because I get it that Jericho really wants to get these tag teams going, but I hate to say it, every time he starts these tag teams, they seem to just be no more. It seems to be a Chris Jericho curse.
Yeah.
That anytime well, at least as of late, because
yeah.
I mean, Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, anybody else that he's been teaming up with in AEW, just seems like they want to have aspirations to go after the tag team titles, and it just falls short. Does not happen. I could be wrong. Maybe it could actually happen where they get the title shot, but this is This is Young Bucks title shot. They're gonna go after. Well, of course, we'll talk about the Fatal 4-Way Tag Team title match at Full Gear, but before after that, I mean, the Young Bucks are going to be gunning for it. They're going to win this match. They're going to keep their thing. The Golden Jets are going to be no more. And Chris Jericho, I feel like, is going to get picked back up by former Jericho Appreciation Society members in some sort of way. I just can see it being that way. I don't know, because, I mean, again, you still have Daniel Garcia that's out there. I mean, that seems to still be on Chris Jericho's side, so we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a lot that could happen, but I really do think that the Young Bucks are going to get the victory here, and that Kenny Omega is going to turn on Chris Jericho. And I think that there's going to be somebody that's going to help. I think there's going to be a situation where somebody's going to come out, save Chris Jericho, and it's going to start up a new feud or rivalry or something like that, possibly heading into a World's End. Who knows? That's at least how I would book it, is, hey, have Kenny Omega, have Young Bucks beat him. Kenny Omega turns on Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho gets saved, start up something heading into the World's End to have a trios match or something like that.
Yeah.
So we're going to get on to our next match. Samoa Joe and Keith Lee face off against each other. This one was interesting because Samoa Joe and Keith Lee were, beating each other up, and maybe you thought, well, Keith Lee might be able to, because, I mean, Samoa Joe has already been the longest reigning ROH World Television title. Of course, we'll get into that soon, with everything that happened. But, yeah, Samoa Joe beats Keith Lee by referee stoppage, by the way, because he was choking him out.
I guess it's a way to protect Keith Lee, but also a way to protect Keith Lee was you could have had him win the match, and also protect the brand of Ring of Honor was you could have had him win.
Yeah,
but
I will say this now, because since he is hungry and vacates the television title, and the next gold he will be the AEW World Championship, whether MJF likes it or not.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Yes.
Why did he vacate?
Holds up the title, puts it in the ring, which is going to be our thumbnail, by the way, and he officially vacates the ROH World Television Championship, which I would assume that there's probably going to be some tournament heading into a final battle.
There has to be at this point.
Which is going to be, December 15th, I think?
Yeah.
That Friday, December 15th?
Yep.
In Garland.
Live on Honor Club, by the way.
Which is nice, because whoever has it doesn't have to pay extra for it. But just the thought that it was one referee stoppage.
Yeah, well, like I said, though, it's Keith Lee.
That Keith Lee just didn't beat him clean, if that was going to be the case anyway. That was like poor planning on Tony Khan's part.
Yeah.
Because then you could have also okay, first off, you could have had him lose. You could have still had the whole promo where it's like, I'm going to, I might have lost that title, but guess what? There's bigger dreams out there, and it's the AEW World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah.
So, Max!
Yeah.
Give me my World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, there were definitely.
But speaking of it, we're going to get onto it a little bit later, but there could be signs that maybe he could team up with MJF to help defend those ROH World Tag Team titles. We'll get into it. But, so yeah, actually, speaking of a match, which it was kind of weird, we saw Orange Cassidy, but not in a match. We saw him in a backstage segment. Orange Cassidy states he has to beat Jon Moxley to be the international champion he wants to be. Thoughts? Well, the only reason why he said it is because he feels like that he was basically gifted the international championship because of the Jon Moxley injury. We all know with everything that they've kind of, it seems like they had some heat on each other with everything that's happened.
Well, the thing about it too is, like, let's not forget about Rey Fenix being champion. So
yeah, that title so far kind of seems like it's cursed. That anybody that's holding it does get hurt. I mean, Orange Cassidy, Jon Moxley, Rey Fenix, who is, I think, currently hurt right now and out of action, which kind of sucks. We haven't really seen him. I didn't think that.
Let's not forget about Pac either, because he was the inaugural.
Right.
And he's currently out with injury.
I know, it just sucks because Pac is so good and just can't stay healthy.
Can't stay healthy, man.
But
whether it's a broken nose or a broken spirit,
yeah,
because the man's a bastard.
But honestly, I agree that maybe Orange Cassidy really does have to be Jon Moxley to be able to prove that he's a great international champion. But the problem is will that actually happen? Or is Jon Moxley going to win back a title that he kind of almost truly
technically never
really lost?
He did lose it, but at the same time, it's like they had to call an audible anyways because of, him being concussed.
Right.
So
I could see him winning it back, but is it too soon for Orange Cassidy losing it?
Yeah.
I mean, I could see him beating Jon Moxley.
But I can also see Moxley beating.
But Jon Moxley already has beat him once, and that was at All Out in Chicago.
And even then, I think the
main event of All Out, by the way, too.
Yeah.
So
I think the bigger picture is Moxley being a champion. He never got his
true opportunity because of what happened. So I honestly, as much as I would love to see Orange Cassidy do it, why can't he and Hook go after the tag team titles or something like that? That would be cool. I mean, they're technically a tag team.
Yeah.
Also,
if not
speaking
AEW,
of somebody that should be with Hook, Danhausen. I thought he was supposed to debut this week.
Yeah, that is a good point. I thought maybe there's no creative plan.
Maybe he debuted on Rampage and we didn't see it. It was technically a live Rampage, everybody. We don't know. He could have debuted on it.
That's true.
We didn't.
But still, I mean, either way, like I said, there might not be creative plans for Danhausen, which is sad because, how could you not have creative plans for Danhausen?
I was gonna say have him team up with Hook or something like that, or
better yet, why would you not let Danhausen have send him? Why would you not let Danhausen use his own creativity towards his character?
Or send him back down ROH where he was before the whole Tony Khan buying it type of thing. I
don't mind that idea.
So, yeah. So we get on to our next match. Red Velvet was back in action for the second time, I think. Yeah, this is the second match. Or maybe it was. I think it was. No, it was her first match back since coming from injury. Yeah. And faces off against Julia Hart. And unfortunately, her
second match will be next week.
Unfortunately, could not beat Julia Hart. And then, Julia Hart beats her down after the match, and then out comes Sky Blue and then Willow Nightingale, and Chris Statler, and then out goes Julia Hart. What could this mean? Well, we're going to talk about it, but at least for next week, it's going to be, speaking of Red Velvet, she's going to face off against Sky Blue in the TBS Championship World Title Eliminator match. And honestly, Marty, who do we have? I'm thinking it's going to be Sky Blue.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is because, spoiler alert, Julia Hart did win, or we'll tell you who she faced off against. But what I'm thinking is going to happen, and I don't know how much I agree with this, but it kind of makes sense in terms of storytelling and all that other stuff. I really do think that Julia Hart is going to convey Sky Blue to join her.
Yeah.
Help Julia Hart beat Chris Statlander for the TBS championship. And unfortunately, everybody, we're going to see a change of hands. We're going to see the TBS championship change hands at Full Gear. You heard it here first. Julia Hart will be the TBS champion after Full Gear.
I mean, it only makes sense. And even then, like, to no fault of Statlander's,
okay
what has
with
she
that?
done with it?
No. By any means, no. But Chris Statlander really hasn't been a great TBS champion.
That's what I was getting at. It's like, to
also,
no fault
what
of her
happened
own.
with her defending it almost every single week? She was like defending it like twice a week, and now she hasn't been defending it
that is
whatsoever.
weird.
So it's like, what the hell happened with that?
Tony Khan just does not know what to do with the damn women's division.
One. And two, Julia Hart is red hot, so it makes sense to have her the champion, even though I don't think she's all that great.
Though.
I hate
That's
to say
debatable, though.
Yeah, but if you think about it, I mean, not really like red hot, meaning like, you know.
No, I know what you mean.
You see her a lot and competing and stuff like that.
That I can agree with.
So I mean,
but even that, like, I
know I don't like it either, but
but it does make sense. I mean,
speaking of one woman that actually is gonna be here in AEW, we get a new signing for the women's division.
Yeah,
Mariah May is a new AEW signing, and the only reason
she was a standout in Japan.
Yeah, Stardom.
Yes, and then I think she might have even like been a standout in like Europe and like the UK.
And she came here mostly because of Toni Storm, because she's been following her around in her career and everything like that.
Now that makes sense why I think I'm correct in saying like she was a standout in UK as well, because that was where Toni Storm spent a lot of her time. Same thing with Japan.
But
so in every sense of the word, Mariah May is literally following Toni Storm's career.
In terms of this, it seems weird. I mean, I don't mind a new signing for a women's division. Hopefully, she is going to be good. Something that the women's division
my only
needs.
Hope is, like, I just hope that she's going to
because
be
I hate to say it. I mean, I don't want to shit on the women's division, and sorry for my language, but I just there needs to be a women's wrestler that can take the ball and run with it, because there's no clear person or woman that is really helping lead that women's division right now, because a lot of them are kind of so-so. A lot of the matches are kind of mediocre, and I'm not trying to say that's exactly a bad thing. It's not a good thing either, because a lot of the matches have been bad, and I know a lot of it can be on Tony Khan too for booking it so poorly, but again, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know how I feel about it and everything like that. It just seems so weird with everything that's going on with the women's division itself. But speaking of championship implications, we get on to our main event here. Jay Briscoe and Jay White
and Mark Briscoe.
Yeah, Jay White and Mark Briscoe, man.
Jay Briscoe and Mark White.
Yeah. These two men honestly had a good match and was very competitive throughout. And you thought maybe there was a slim of hope that Mark Briscoe was actually going to take it away from Jay White there. Mark Briscoe is a hell of a wrestler. Yeah. I really do think that I would love to see AEW utilize him more as a singles guy, because he's not a bad wrestler.
Yeah.
World champion, probably not, but hey, one can only hope.
Yeah.
But man, Jay White, Switchblade, it is truly the Switchblade era for a reason, and that man just keeps on finding ways to win, and does it against Mark Briscoe. Even though I would love to see Mark Briscoe getting close to that AEW championship, it could very well happen, but No, Jay White's gonna face off. He still has the Bang Bang belt right now, and truly it's gonna be interesting to see if he's gonna actually win it or it's gonna be MJF winning. But
I mean, I would like to see him be the official holder of the Bang Bang belt, but
yeah, and
it's not going to
it's gonna be
happen.
made official. Jay White and Mark and MJF will face off in full gear for the AEW World Championship, and out comes MJF after the match and is right behind Bullet Club Gold. And as he goes after Jay White, he runs away, and then the masked assailants beat down the Acclaimed to Daddy Ass, and then the Devil shows up.
Yeah.
Thoughts
So,
on that one?
well, before I get into my thoughts on that, I think the thing with MJF being out there was he was attempting to take back his belt, but
Yeah,
it
he
just,
was. I'm
I
really
do like the story that they're telling with that. It's like, MJF is, he's trying to get back his belt, but uh, the wily Jay White and Bullet Club Gold are keep coming away with the
You
gold.
know what would be interesting? What
But
if I'm like I keep on wondering who the devil could be. I honestly think it could be somehow Samoa Joe.
the the build doesn't really give away that it could be Samoa Joe.
I mean,
But
but
also,
then again, I
I mean,
also think
there's a lot of possibilities of who it could be.
because he shows up at random times with MGF,
Oh,
he wants to go after the World Heavyweight Championship. Who better? And honestly, we don't know
he
if
makes the most sense.
he could be teaming up with MGF
Yeah.
and helping him retain, but then showing up afterwards to show that he's been. Because
Hmm.
if you think about it, why is he showing up when MJF's friends are all been attacked?
Good point.
So I think that that Samoa Joe in some way is the devil, because why else would he show up after the masked assailants are beating down? I don't know who the masked assailants could be. Apparently, Samoa Joe has some friends that we don't know about. But I mean, there's a lot of things. It could be a debut, could not be. It could be. The other thing I can think of is it's somehow Roderick Strong and the
He
Kingdom, and
makes the most sense too.
there's a lot of possibilities of what they could go with
Yeah,
this. I hope they don't mess it up.
I
But
don't either.
I think Samoa.
Don't pull
I
don't
re-
pull a higher power WWF Vince
I
McMahon.
will say this
Don't
now.
do
I
that.
think Samoa Joe makes the most sense. The only reason why I say that is because you know he's going to team up with MJF. I think he's going to finally listen to Adam Cole because I think that I
Adam!
feel like how it's going to go with Dynamite is that you're going to see another backstage segment with MJF. Adam Cole's going to be on there. I think that MJF is going to be like, you know what, Adam, you're right. I might have to trust Joe on this one because I have nobody else to turn to. I think that him and Samoa Joe are gonna defend those ROH World Tag Team titles. Maybe lose them. Who knows? Maybe he keeps them or retains them. But I think that Samoa Joe is gonna turn on MGF and it's gonna set up the world title match at World's End. And you heard it here first. MGF will lose to Samoa Joe at World's End, and I know it's in Long Island, New York, where towards where MGF is from.
Yeah.
But with the whole bidding war 2024, it makes sense in the terms of the storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
Will MJF go to WWE? Will he stay in AEW? He doesn't have the World Championship.
He doesn't
What
have the
direction?
ROH tag team title.
So I think they could either lose him at Full Gear or lose him at World's End.
Although, I just thought about this. What if, heading into the bidding war, he's still the ROH tag champion? What if?
That'd be interesting to see. He might keep him until Adam Cole does come back. Or actually, I just thought about this. What if the Oh, I just thought about this. I think actually the masked. I think the devil is actually. I think it's Wardlow.
Oh,
I think it's Wardlow
that also makes sense.
because Wardlow is going after MGF, and we haven't really been seeing him compete as of late. So I think you know what, I'm gonna take it back. I don't think it's gonna be Samoa Joe. I think the devil is Wardlow. In terms of the mass assailant, I have no idea who the mass assailants are. I think you heard it here.
I still think it's the Kingdom.
I think it's Wardlow.
Well, for the masked assailants, I still think it's the Kingdom.
Yeah, I
And
think
then
the
the
mass
Devil,
assailants are the Kingdom, and
and
I
then the
think the
Devil
devil is
Wardlow.
Wardlow because it makes sense.
It does make
It
sense.
kind of makes sense. I mean, Samoa Joe is there, and he wants to face off again for the world title.
But it also makes sense that he would be the
Actually,
Devil because he only ever shows up after the
what
Devil
if
is
what
like.
if this happens at World's End? You have Samoa Joe, MGF, and Wardlow triple threat match for the world title. I think that would be better than just.
Mm,
I think that would be a
yeah,
great match to have.
yeah. Because then, like, not that it would necessarily be a guaranteed new world champion, but at the same time, it's like it would kind of be guaranteed that we would have a new world champion. Although who it would be is a mystery, whether it be Wardlow or Samoa Joe.
Right. So we get into our next match. Or we get onto
Yeah,
Collision. Andrade El Idolo faces off against Daniel Garcia. We get to see more of Daniel
Mm-hmm.
Garcia. Honestly, this wasn't too bad of a match itself. Andrade, I mean, he just knows how to put on some great matches itself. Daniel
Well,
Garcia, it does sucks that
well,
he. What's up?
let's not forget to address the elephant in the room, C.J. Perry.
Yes. He came down, and then C.J. Perry was walking with him down to the ring. Um,
Managing him.
managing him. And then Miro was looking back. I really do think this is going to set up an Andrade El Idolo Miro match at Full Gear because
Oh,
I think there's
absolutely.
another match. There's more matches that can be announced, and they usually do announce them the week of Full Gear, and I think it's going to
Yeah,
be
that's
one of the
true.
matches that are going to get announced. I think you're going to see Andrade El Idolo and Miro, which honestly I don't think it will be a bad match because we thought Powerhouse Hobbs and Miro was going to be a bad match, and ended up being one of the better ones of All Out. So maybe this one could be a good one and be very underrated of a match at Full Gear. So who knows? But yeah, high point of this match is Daniel Garcia going out of the ring, going by CJ Perry and dancing in front of her.
Hmm.
That was hilarious.
But even funnier, after Daniel Garcia turns his back, you see C.J. Perry start doing it too, and she's like, okay, I can do it too. Big deal.
But ultimately, yeah, Daniel Garcia got into the figure eight from Andrade Alito and taps out. Man, that figure eight from Andrade is just lethal because every time he puts people in them, they have not been able to escape and immediately tap as soon as he puts the figure eight on. Gets in the figure four, and as soon as he goes up for the figure eight, it's over with. Every single time he's just been able to win with that match. So
With
we
that
got
move, you mean?
yes with that move. We got into the next match. Nick Wayne and Dalton Castle face off against each other. Um, as you see, the boys try to get involved, and
Yeah.
Luchasaurus double clotheslines both of them outside of the ring,
Boy!
and also Christian Cage gets involved. And I feel like that's the only way that Nick Wayne is able to get this win. And well, if it worked out in his favor, he gets the win on Dalton Castle only because of the help of Christian Cage and Luchasaurus. It's sad because it seems like a Dominic Mysterio type of thing where he can only get wins if he gets help type of thing.
You mean that's more like a Roman Reigns thing?
Maybe that too, but
I probably triggered so many WWE fans.
yeah, Texas Death Match between Adam Hangman Page versus Strickland. Thoughts? Hangman and Page, I think, is going to win over Strickland. I know we talked about it. We're going to kind of run it through here. Roosh and Dralistico face off against the work horsemen and beat them. Roderick Strong, next strong.
Although Although they still don't care about neck health because why would they put him in the match against
Darius Martin.
Darius Martin?
Yes, he looked good. I mean, he's the messiah for the backbreaker.
Well, of course he's gonna look good. He always looks good when he's in the ring.
He's a messiah of the backbreaker anyway. I mean, he had a nice looking backbreaker on Darius Martin itself. One of the best theme songs to come out to as well.
Yes.
And a Heartache is his finishing move. He did not. I think he did use it
match, yeah.
with the end of Heartache.
And then
Darius
immediately
Martin.
after the match, he went
Puts the
down.
nut
He's
brakes
like,
on.
nah.
It hurts.
Nah.
It hurts me. It hurts me. I was telling Marty. I was telling Marty before the match is like, man, I want to give him a lot of credit, but he is so stuck into sports entertainment. I think he forgot how to be a professional wrestler. I hate to say it, but I mean, I guess they're gonna
poor Diamond Mine. I mean, not for nothing. Like Roderick Strong, he was limbo. He literally went limbo for like all those months before, literally, like out of the blue, it was Dynamite. Adam Cole was getting like beaten down. Next thing you know, you hear the end of Heartache, and it's like, well, first you saw the logo, and people were like, Sean Ross Sapp? And then it turned out to be Roderick Strong. It's like, wait, he was a free agent? Like, what? Because, like I said, he literally went limbo for months after the last segment that he was in on like NXT with Diamond Mine.
Right.
And even then, it's like he kind of had no real direction after Stokely Hathaway, Malcolm Bivens left to go to AEW.
Right. But I mean, again,
I look at it this way.
Great.
I look at it this way. It worked out for the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile, so it wasn't too much of a fail.
Right. I mean, Roderick Strong has been making it work. His gimmick has been working for him. I would like to see him maybe wrestle more often. I get it, the whole neck strong type of
But yeah,
thing,
see,
but
like
still.
Here's the thing though with Roderick Strong. He's always been a much better wrestler than he has ever been a sports entertainer. And even then, he was not in the land of sports entertainment for that long.
No, not at all. Like I said, I guess it works for him, but who knows? Yeah, Julia Hart faces off against Willow Nightingale. This was a TBS Championship eliminator match. Whoever wins, it will be part of the triple threat match. And
yeah, she beat her.
Yeah,
we already
beats Willow Nightingale. Julia Hart went a perfect 2-0 for the week.
Yep.
Yeah, she did beat Red Velvet and Willow Nightingale.
2-0 for the week.
Powerhouse Hobbs beat a local jobber.
Yeah.
Not much to talk about.
We didn't even get the pleasure of knowing his name.
Nope.
That wasn't important.
It sucks because when you're really trying to build up Powerhouse Hobbs, he just goes up against these jobbers and just beats them. But
what happened after the match, though, is what was funny because Don Callis and his family came out. Paul White was on commentary. They go out of the ring to really get closer to Paul White, and while he's talking to Paul White, there was somebody that yelled out, "You look like a hot dog!" So that was like the best part of that whole segment after the match.
And then we get on to our main event. It's Adam Copeland, Sting, and Darby Allin facing off against Lance Archer and the Righteous.
First things first. Darby Allin, what the hell are you doing with your shoulder taped up that much? Like, you literally
trying to protect it. I mean, it's basically
I know that, but
AC,
I mean, like,
I was gonna say it's an AC joint, probably brace to help protect his shoulder.
Well, yeah, I know that, but I mean, like, just in general too. It's like he has possibly an AC joint fracture, separation, something, and he's going out here and wrestling.
Hey,
Like,
I give him a hell of a lot of credit. If he can wrestle hurt like that and still put
I
on
mean,
like good matches, I mean, why not?
to be fair, he also once got ran over, or no,
This is
he was
also a
in a
man
car
that
crash. He was in a car crash hours before a match, and he still wrestled the match.
this is also a man that got thrown down a set of stairs and still was able to come back the next week and be able to, yeah. So he's crazy.
Yeah, I swear to God, though, he is a man who gets off on pain.
I mean,
Like,
Lance Archer was just beating him down and everything like that, and the Righteous was going after him, and then um, Adam Copeland was able to beat down on.
that little, like, suicide dive into a spear was kind of nice from Adam
Yeah,
Copeland.
I mean
I'm
the
pretty sure
suicide.
that's what it was.
Yeah, and it was like the
It
suicide
was some kind of, like, suicide
dive
dive or something
outside of
like
the
that.
ring.
Yeah.
Then there was the double arm clothesline off the top rope itself, and then
Oh,
and it
what about the Scorpion Death Drop elbow drop
yeah, it
little
was stinging
combination there to
stinging
Dutch?
Adam Copeland. I'm pretty sure Adam Copeland's dreams were fulfilled that day of being a big Sting fan like he was, or
Yeah,
more
well,
so
I was
Christian
gonna say that was
Cage.
Christian Cage.
But still, I mean, I'm
Christian,
pretty sure Adam
I'm sure
Copeland's
Christian
probably a
Cage
big
would just
fan.
look at Sting and be like, that old man can't lace my boots, or
But yeah,
something
Adam
like that.
Copeland was able to get the spear and win it for his trio, and yeah, they beat Lance Archer and the Righteous, and looking good into heading into their full gear matches. They're going to face off against Christian Cage, Luchasaurus, and Nick Wayne, and I think they could honestly win that match. I can't see why not. I then again, because something tells me that somehow Christian Cage is going to get betrayed by Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus after the match or during the match. Who knows? At least that's
Hmm.
what Adam Copeland is hoping for, but I don't know how truthful that's going to happen. Um, I really do think that eventually you're going to see Adam Copeland and Christian Cage face off against each other for the TNT Championship, and why not at World's End? But
I don't know if I would do that though, because I feel like it's too soon for Christian Cage to lose it.
yeah,
I mean,
probably not.
because even though he's held that title for all those days and all those months,
Hasn't really
he
defended it either, which is interesting. But hey,
well, no,
it is what it
I'm
is.
more so talking about when he held the title, even though Luchasaurus was the actual
Oh,
champion.
yeah,
Even though he held that title for even though he was the rightful champion but never acknowledged,
right.
it's too soon for him to lose it.
True.
Now him now being acknowledged as the true champion.
I know. So this is going to conclude this episode of No Final Bell. Please make sure to follow us on social media at Tinkle Sports. Um, it's our channel over there, Tinkle Sports Entertainment. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow for more. Hit the bell notification and get notified when our videos are uploading because it seems like sometimes YouTube will push it out and sometimes they will not. So if you do or subscribe, just make sure to hit the bell notification. They get notified when our videos are out, so you could be able to watch it. We would certainly appreciate it. And goodbye. We'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye, everyone.